Do you love the Tabernacle Choir? This year, the choir's music is everywhere you are. Listen to your favorite choir songs and music and the spoken word anytime you want on Alexa by simply enabling the skill.
Alexa, play music in the spoken word.
Now playing music in the spoken word.
You can also download the Tabernacle Choir app, subscribe to the choir on YouTube, listen on Spotify, and have access to all their wonderful music. Happy listening.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Just doing it big, you know?
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It's live at 5, brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 855-TRAJAN-1, or visit their website at trajanwealth.com. Continue to take a look around the Big 12 as we get you ready for the upcoming football season. Our next guest covers the Houston Cougars. He's the publisher of GoCougs.com. He's Ryan Monceaux with us here on Jake and Ben. Hi, Ryan.
Hey,
how
Ryan.
are you?
Howdy. How are y'all? We're doing terrific. Okay, Ryan, this is always a big question for me, especially with how much turnover and change there is every year now in college football. Houston wins 4 games, surprises everyone, I think, last year by jumping up to 10 wins and comes in as one of the hottest teams in the Big 12 this year. Real expectations to maybe win double-digit games again. Is it based purely off of last year's success? Is it improvement in the offseason? Is it a belief in Willie Fritz? What do you think?
Well, I think they have brought in talent consistently year over year, but you're going into the second year where the quarterback, who was pretty good coming out of high school, and proved himself last year. They've put weapons around him, and they have a solid defense that has kind of carried them through 3 years in the Big 12, even though the records didn't show it the first 2 years. The defense really helped this team out.
You know, Houston over the years, when they've had a pretty good coach, you can win at Houston. I mean, they've won a lot of games there. And Coach Fritz and Ben and I talked to him at his first Big 12 Media Days a couple of years ago, and what an impressive guy. What is it about him that has unlocked the potential there at Houston a little bit?
He's just a builder, and that's what U of H needed. You had a kind of a flash in the pan guy with Dana Holgerson. But they needed somebody who this was the last stop. He wanted to build. He could bring in his people. He's never had resources like he does at U of H. And U of H is, frankly, at the bottom of the Big 12 in resources, but he's never had this. He's just a football lifer. He gets kids to believe in him. And they have really worked well with the pitch that, hey, we're going to recruit you. If you don't come here out of high school, that's great. You're from Houston. If you don't like where you end up, you always can come back home.
Houston had a bit of a soft conference schedule last year, if I'm correct. They didn't play BYU.
Yeah.
They didn't play Utah. They get to 10 wins. They did beat Utah the year before that. Again, that was not a particularly good Utah team, though. What's the feather in the cap victory for Willie Fritz that does have people believing that this is for real, that this is a team that can compete?
They beat LSU in the bowl game, and that really unlocked some things locally. The game was in Houston, and that mattered. They have stepped up. They won at TCU. They won at Arizona State last year. Not huge wins, but showed that you're kind of going in the right direction. They kind of stubbed their toe at home twice last year. It was kind of crazy. They went 6-0 on the road, won the bowl game, and lost 3 games at home, I believe. They've got to correct that. They've got to be ready every week. This schedule this year, not exactly killer, but more difficult than it was last year.
Especially that week 3 game, right? I think the entire conference, if not the entire world, is rooting for Houston to beat Texas Tech. How do they specifically match up against the Red Raiders?
You still don't know what Tech has. They've got the defensive line they had last year is gone. The quarterback Both of them are gone. And they come off of a week 2 game. They go to Oregon State. It's a night game. So they'll not get home till, 5 or 6 in the morning, Lubbock time. And then the game's a Friday night game. Houston will have played 2 games at home, and will go there in probably a better spot than where Tech is. This is a big circled game for U of H. It's kind of if we're real, we're going to show up here. But, Cody Campbell and Tech people have made a point of putting this on their map too.
What's the balance of this team? What's the identity? Is there, a one side of the ball you think is going to be a real strength, or one area that's going to be a real strength? Or do you think they're going to have talent? Because you kind of look at some good receivers, some talent on the offensive line. As you mentioned, good quarterback, good running back transfer. It does feel like there's a lot of different options here. Yeah,
it's depth for one. They just have not had a Big 12 quality depth the first 3 years in the league. But it's balance. Willie Fritz is a run first, run second, run seventh, run 10th, whatever it is, guy. If he never had to throw the ball, I think he'd be okay with that. But they have so many weapons in the passing game, and Connor Wigman has proven himself that you think, you're going to be sort of a 50-50 team. They are really stacked in the defensive backfield. I think you have 4 guys that are legitimate all-conference type players. Your 2 safeties and your 2 corners. So you can say the offense, but really I would say the defensive backfield.
You mentioned resources a little bit. Dive into that a little more as we're all kind of getting to know the new game and the new rules and who has what. Where is Houston when it comes to that, NIL and financial support?
They're at the bottom of the conference. There's just no way to sugarcoat that. Virtually everybody in the league has a 30-year head start in being in a P4, P5 conference. U of H was near the bottom of Conference USA and the American financially until about 10 years ago when they really started to invest. They built a new stadium and an indoor. They started paying people what you have to pay to compete. NIL probably still well behind. They are stepping up on revenue sharing, and that's a huge deal. They've got 2 5-star quarterbacks in the room right now. Never been able to say anything close to that. So there's money there when it's necessary. Kelvin Sampson has found it in basketball, and I think people are going to be willing to push that to football as well, but you've got to keep building.
Am I right? Second-year offensive coordinator, second-year defensive coordinator. We saw the wins last year. How did they perform individually, and is there worry about being able to hold on to them if they succeed again this season?
I think you would be worried about your defensive coordinator. He's a young up-and-comer. He's worked for Kirby Smart, Nick Saban. He's an SEC guy. He was the DC at Florida that he got let go 2 years ago. And I think that's kind of where he would want to be. Slade Nagel, the offensive coordinator, is kind of a Willie guy. I would be surprised if he were able to move up just because of the offense they run is not flashy. It's not going to get, big numbers and maybe just not the attention that the defensive side could get.
What you think of my new saddle, Lizard?
Oh, yeah, it's swell, mate. Proper comfy.
Just one of the upgrades I've added to this puppy.
What else have you got on here?
New air intake filter, quick shifter, and a beefy muffler.
Well, that's why you ride with Geico Motorcycle Insurance, so you can cover your custom parts and equipment. Now let's hear that muffler purr.
All right, hang on tight to my love handles.
It feels good to ride with help. It feels good to Geico.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on the scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
I'm sure the fans are excited because Houston expected to be pretty good, and I certainly wouldn't rule them out as a contender for the conference championship. But what are the fans expecting from this season? Is it 10 wins or bust, or what would be disappointing?
I think probably 10 is the number they go to. I didn't think 10 was realistic last year, so maybe I'm the wrong guy. But this year, where you go to in the conference is the tricky part. You go to Tech, you go to Kansas State, you go to Utah, and then you have Colorado and West Virginia back-to-back in November. You just go to, basically, except for Iowa State, you go to the biggest, most difficult places to play in the conference. BYU is also who they're missing. So that part could be difficult. I think there's a tricky November schedule that they're going to have to navigate. They did not navigate that last year, and that's why they ended up a couple games back out of going to the Big 12 title game.
Well, you touched on some teams there, and you mentioned Texas Tech earlier, and that's going to be the big one I think that everyone focuses on. If you beat Texas Tech, Houston can beat anybody. But what are the games you've got circled of, hey, this is the difference between maybe an 8-win season and so-so, maybe a disappointment, and 10 or 11 wins, and everyone says this was a really, really big run?
I think there's two. It is Utah on October 24th. That is U of H has not played at Utah in my lifetime, and I'm 47. So that's kind of a different thing. And, you've got talent on that Utah team, that quarterback, and that's going to be difficult. And then you have a 2-game road trip in November. You play at Colorado on a Friday night. You fly to Houston, and then you have to go to West Virginia the next Saturday. That is the trap game of all trap games in my mind for this team. If you can get through Utah and then a couple of games in Cincinnati and Colorado, then you get to West Virginia. They've never played at West Virginia. Going to be a difficult trip. I think those are the 2 games that you have to circle and say, this is where you need to pay attention.
This isn't football, but I'm just curious. What's Kelvin Sampson like to cover? I love that guy.
Well, he didn't know my name for the first 6 years I did this. My name is spelled or pronounced Monceaux. He called me Monceaux for 6 years. So we had a moment where I wrote something that really kind of touched him, and we have gotten, I wouldn't say close, but we are on the same wavelength. He comes on our podcast 3 or 4 times a year. He's prickly, there's no doubt about it. He's somewhat difficult to deal with, but he's completely, he's never going to BS you. It's just never going to happen. You're going to get straight up what he's thinking, and you might not like it, and he doesn't suffer fools, and he doesn't suffer people who aren't prepared.
Ryan, outside of our local teams, Utah and BYU, and we'll take Texas Tech because it's the obvious answer, who do you like in the Big 12 this year? When you're looking at football, who's maybe not getting enough love in your opinion?
I am so curious about Kansas State and Oklahoma State. Both have new coaches. Yeah, it's hard to see Kansas State not being a top half team in this conference. Oklahoma State has kind of tried to go a microwave Indiana route. I don't know if it's going to work this year, but if anybody can step up from that bottom half to get into that top half, I think it would be Oklahoma State.
Well, Ryan, we certainly appreciate a few minutes of your time. Thank you very much for jumping on with us, and we'll catch up with you again before that Utah-Houston game later in the fall.
Thanks, Ryan.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ryan.
Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
Evening. Buyer's remorse. Buy a new car? I'll be moving in. Let's get started.
Sorry, I think there's been a mistake. I bought it from Carvana.
You what?
Yeah, great price. I even have 7 days to love it or return it.
So there's no...
No buyer's remorse. More like buyer's rejoice.
I guess I'll let myself out. Congratulations. I mean it.
Buyer's rejoice. Buy your car today on Carvana.
Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.